Thank you for listening to the show on Really Big Something Channel. November 8th, 2017.
2:05 here on the great WRKO. Okay, my friends, 1 year ago, history was made. Donald Trump pulled off the greatest political upset in American history, one of the greatest upsets in world history, defying all of the polls, all of the odds, the entire mainstream media, the entire Democratic Party, the entire deep state, most of the Republican establishment. A people's revolution took place. And he won Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Florida. It was an electoral college landslide. He lost the popular vote, but the electoral college, over 300. It was a victory for the ages. And so the Kuhner Country poll question of the day, sponsored by Bill Kelly Financial Services, is now we're 1 year after that historic moment. If you remember, and I was jubilant, I was one of the happiest days of my life. When you think back upon that day, fast forward now to today, 1 year later, are you satisfied with Trump's performance in office? Has he met your expectations? If the answer is yes, then text the letter A to 680-680. If the answer is no, you've been disappointed, or you thought he would be better, or, whatever. You're not satisfied with his performance. You feel he's let you down, or he hasn't lived up to what you thought the promise of his presidency would be after 1 year of his election. Text the letter B to 680-680. You can vote online at WRKO.com. Brittany, I'm just curious, what are the poll results thus far?
79% they are satisfied. 21% they are not satisfied with Trump's performance.
So 79 yes, 21% no.
Right.
Are you part of so basically let's just round it off, 80-20.
Right.
4 out of 5.
Yes.
Are you with the majority or are you with the minority?
I am. Who I'm disappointed in is the Republicans. They're the ones that are tying Trump's hands and not helping him get his agenda through when they should be supporting him.
Brittany, I'm with you. There are some disappointments. I'm not going to lie to you. But primarily, I think the blame is with McConnell, with Paul Ryan, with the Republican Congress. I frankly, as I point out in my column, Jeff Sessions. I think Sessions now must go. He is now an albatross around Trump's presidency. And so, to me, yes, clearly, look, they didn't get to knock out Obamacare. That was a central promise. I blame the Republican Congress. So far, they seem very disjointed and in disarray on the tax reform plan. And what I'm seeing so far, I'm not crazy about. Again, I blame the Republican Congress. The wall remains, there's no funding. It remains unbuilt. I blame the Republican Congress. But when you stand back objectively, I think it's the wrong question to ask. The real question is, what would America be like if Hillary had won? Because it was essentially a choice between two. It was a binary choice. It's either Trump or Hillary. Well, let me tell you what we would have under Hillary. We would still be in the Trans-Pacific Partnership. We would still be in the Paris Climate Accords. The economy would not be booming. We would continue to see out-of-control deficits. You would not have a conservative on the Supreme Court, but probably a rabid liberal having a permanent 5-4 majority, which would affect everything from gun rights to every basic issue in society. Transgender bathrooms. I could run down the whole line. Every issue would now be decided by the radical left. You would have amnesty for 12 to 20 million illegal immigrants. You would have massive open borders. ISIS would be rampaging across the Middle East, and all of her crime, corruption, and criminality would have been swept under the rug. In fact, the Russians would continue to own her. The Chinese would continue to own her. The Saudis would continue to own her. America, as we know it, would be finished. Literally finished. And so, to me, that alone, I am very happy that President Trump won. And now I expect him to learn from some of his mistakes, i.e., don't trust the Republican establishment and the rhinos. Cut my taxes, repeal and replace Obamacare, and build that wall. Agree, disagree, 617-266-6868. Lucy and Peabody. Go ahead, Lucy.
Well, hello. I've been waiting so long. We love you, Jeff.
Go ahead,
Everybody
Lucy.
loves you. You're our savior. I want to know, can illegals vote? Is it legal for illegals to vote?
It is completely illegal.
Well, then they should, whoever's in charge of passing out the voting things, they should say you can't vote because you're not illegal. You're not a legal person. So that vote does not count. Am I right?
You're completely right. It's massive voter fraud.
Privy ought to go along and say, I want to see if these people were legal or illegal, and if they're illegal, I have votes coming to me.
Lucy, what I think, I don't want to tell Paul Prevey what to do, but you're completely right, Lucy. What Paul Prevey should do is file a huge complaint with the Federal Election Commission.
Yep.
And he should contact Jeff Sessions. He should also contact Maura Healey. It won't do him any good, but still, he should contact Maura Healey. I would hold a major press conference, and I would say this election was stolen, period. Yeah. It was stolen on two grounds. It was stolen from me, and it was stolen on the issue of sanctuary cities. And I'd say let's investigate.
Investigate. Yes, another thing, Jeff, is like, the people that work under the table, do you always see them at the supermarkets, and they're sending money to the country? Are we taxing them some good money on that?
No, but we should. And that's how I pay for the wall.
That's our money. They haven't paid taxes for that, so that's the way. You're sending $2,000. We want some money out of that.
Lucy, you are spot on. Don't be a stranger. Call again, Lucy. What I would do is, you want to know how you pay for that wall? No problem. You tax every single, they're called remittances. Every single remittance, money transferred by these illegals, say back to Mexico or Guatemala or El Salvador, Western Union, you can track it down. You're sending $1,000, no problem. We're going to take a nice 15% tax on that. $150. You're still coming out ahead, believe me. I don't pay 15% in taxes. So you're still doing better, okay? But $150 we're going to put in our pocket. That's going to go towards the fund to build a wall. That's what I would do. But again, that requires serious leadership from the Republicans in Congress. Catherine in New Hampshire, you're up next. Go ahead, Catherine.
Hey, great to talk to you. I'm concerned about what Gina and Lynn said happened at the polling place with her in the last, about an hour and a half ago, she called. She said that the electronic ballot counting machine was not operational, and they were telling her to just put her ballot in the box. Now, I live in New Hampshire, and I'm a former state representative in New Hampshire, and I can tell you about New Hampshire laws. I don't know about Massachusetts state laws, but this sounds to me like something she should call the Secretary of State about, and she should look up Massachusetts state laws and be certain which one she's referencing when she does talk to him. I would encourage every single person in your state to get more active in knowing their state laws, so that they know what they're looking at when they're looking at it at the polls. And when something's going wrong, they know what they should be calling the Secretary of State about.
Catherine, let me ask you this, though. I take it you're a former state rep yourself, correct?
Yes,
okay.
Correct.
In all honesty, between you and me, as they say, among us girls, okay, just between you and me, if they did complain to the state Secretary of State, because you're calling from New Hampshire. New Hampshire is a much more honest state, a much less corrupt state than Massachusetts, to be frank. Do you think in Massachusetts it would really honestly make a difference?
You have a lot of listeners, and they're smart people, and I would encourage them to get to know the Massachusetts state election laws, and they can request a copy of that from the Secretary of State at no cost. They can go into the State House and get that at no cost, and they can go to the polls and have that in their hands, and that way when they see something that they believe is not legal, they can address it at that moment with I guess you guys have town moderators. Again, I'm not really familiar with everything in Massachusetts, but they can call the Secretary of State at that moment and have things documented as they're happening. I would encourage people to do that in their communities. If people are concerned about election fraud, that is the most substantial way they can address it, is to know their own state election laws and to address it when it's happening. If more people did that, what happened to Gina would not be happening. People who maybe have nefarious goals are getting away with that kind of stuff because more people should know what their state election laws are. I think that a lot of people consider it boring, and it may be at first, but once you start reading it and pay attention, it gets very interesting. I would encourage people to do that.
Catherine.
And that's the best way. That's the best way to safeguard our elections.
Great call. Really, don't be a stranger. Please call again. Great call. Look, I'll tell you what our problem is. We're too quiet. In fact, Brittany, you know what? I don't want to steal your thunder. Go, say it.
No, I was going to say to you, what did you just ask her? What was the question you just asked her?
I said, if you complain to your state Secretary of State, Massachusetts being as corrupt as it is,
right,
would it make any difference?
That's the mentality that we need to stop having as a society here. We always think that if we complain, if we ask questions, if we try to do anything about anything that are, whether they're local, state, or, national politicians do, if we question it, then we think that they're just going to push us away and not answer our questions. We need to stop having that mentality, because look at what the other mentality is with the liberals. They don't stop. And that's why they're winning. They're not stopping. We need to get off our asses, and we need to be motivated and get out there and start asking questions and demand. We vote twice a year if we're lucky. Once a year. That's all we need the machines to work is 1 day out of the year, maybe 2 days out of the year, and they're not working. It's unexcusable, Jeff. It's unexcusable, and it makes you think that maybe something was going on there. Maybe they were stealing the votes.
No. Something was going on.
Someone called from Salem. Justin from Salem called and said that his machine wasn't working. Then someone from Lynn calls and said that their machine isn't working. And I'm sure there are plenty of other people that are throughout the state would call in and say that their machines weren't working. We need them to work once a year, and they're not working? I mean, come on. And we do need to know our laws, and we absolutely do need to know. We need to question people, and we're not doing that. And we're going to lose if we don't. We need to stand up, and we need to say things.
I'm with you. We got to fight. And look at how Trump won. With all due respect to Paul Prevey, I'm not picking on Paul. I think he's a great man. Ran a very honorable, honest campaign. Don't get me wrong, okay? If I lived in Salem, I'd vote for the guy 1,000 times, all right? But when when crooked Kim Driscoll sent out that ridiculous sample ballot over the weekend in Spanish to all of the Spanish-speaking illegal immigrants in Salem, he should have called a press conference on the spot. He should have been crying, screaming bloody murder. In other words, when you run against the Democrats, you have to hit them twice as hard.
Yeah, but if he called a press conference, the Salem News wouldn't even cover it. They're in the bag for Kim Driscoll as well. So that's another problem. We have a corrupt media, too, where they're on the bag for the Democrats. They'll sponsor and they'll write anything about any Democrat there is. Mayor, these city councils, state reps, senators, whatever. They're in the bag for them too, Jeff. So we need to clean up our media. We need to fight back.
You got to call her out. Look, I'm telling you, I think I'm going to be the only person on the media today who's going to, as an example, who's going to call her out. And not just her, the massive voter fraud that takes place. Look, I broke the story a couple months ago. They stole New Hampshire. This is now, it's undeniable now. Trump was right. You know, everybody mocked him when he said New Hampshire was stolen. No, they stole over 5,000 votes. So Hillary illegitimately won New Hampshire. And to me, even the bigger one, whatever you think about her, I wasn't a big fan of Kelly Ayotte, but Kelly Ayotte won that election. Now, that's very important because it's no longer 52 Republicans. It's 53 Republicans in the Senate. So when you're talking about Obamacare, you're talking about tax cuts, you're talking about whatever, that's an extra vote. That's a big thing. So they're disenfranchising us because they can't win it fair and square. So in the end, you have to make a decision now. Are you a citizen or are you a subject? If you're a subject, you allow yourself to be ruled. But if you're a citizen, you speak up, you get engaged, and you get involved. 617-266-6868. Trump's historic victory 1 year ago. What is your reaction now 1 year later? Are you satisfied or are you dissatisfied? Your call's next. 226 here on the great WRKO. You can text us at 680-680. This is from 978. Hey, Jeff, you just said that Trump lost the popular vote. Do you really think that he lost the popular legal vote? No. No, I'm telling you right now, he won the popular vote. You take away all the illegals in California and New York, Trump didn't just win the Electoral College vote, he won the popular vote. But you won't hear the mainstream media say it. Let's go to, before I get to another call, 781. Jeff, so if New Hampshire is so quote-unquote honest, as you claimed 10 minutes ago, how did Kelly Ayotte lose by 5,000 votes? I didn't say New Hampshire was honest. I said it was more honest, which it is. I mean, it's a statement of fact. Look, things are bad in New Hampshire, and they're getting worse because of the Democrats, the way they're slowly corrupting that state. But what you saw, for example, in Salem or Lynn, that's thievery. I mean, that's just out and out gangsterism. So no, Massachusetts is more corrupt than New Hampshire. It's a hell of a lot less honest than New Hampshire. Not that New Hampshire's honest, but they're not as bad as here. Skippy and Southie. Go ahead, Skippy.
Hi, Jeff. Jeff, your very good friend Michael Savage wrote this book. I love the book. It's called The Enemy Within. And I believe Charlie Baker is one of those characters that he was talking about. He's the enemy within not just our party, but within our state. His sheep's clothing, he's outgrown that. You can see the Democrat wolf that's underneath it. And you scream from the rooftops all the time. Everybody I know who's listening to you does too. But you know what? The people I want to see screaming the most are those that work with him. I want to see Jeff Keel. I want to see Shauna O'Connell. I think the guy's name is Jim Lyons. Now on the surface, they're very good conservative Republicans, but they should be the maddest. They should be the most angry because he's going to hurt their chances because people are going to lose trust. So I want to hear them take him down because if they don't, they're just enablers. Or maybe there's a Republican swamp going on here in the Republican Party.
Skippy, I can tell you this: there is a big Republican swamp here. And that's why I'm backing Jeff Deal all the way, because he's the one guy that's committed to draining it. We got to drain it here in Massachusetts and drain it up in Washington. Thank you for that call. Jeff in North Andover. Go ahead, Jeff.
Taking my call. I don't even know where to start. I've listened to you for 2 or 3 years now, and I absolutely love your show. So thank you for that. Condolences for your loss over the weekend.
Thank you, Jeff.
And I just hear this stuff, and I don't mean to preach, but my wife has had cancer for 15 years. She's had leukemia, she's had breast cancer, she's had melanoma, she's had brain cancer. I've lost my job, I lost my career, I've lost most of my money, and I'm still trying to get health insurance, and I hear these things about people coming into the country, getting free things and doing this, and I don't begrudge them that, but I wonder how long I can keep this up and still say that I'm proud to be an American.
Well, Jeff, look, by the way, I'm very sorry about your wife, and thank you for sharing that with us, Jeff, and God bless you, my friend. Thank you for that call. Look, never confuse your government with your country. That's what the liberals want you to do. Don't ever give them that kind of power over you. This is a great country. It is the greatest country in the history of the world. And that we are Americans is a gift from God. What we have to do, and this is the central mission of our time, is we have to reclaim our government. We have to reclaim, frankly, our party. We have to reclaim our country. And we have to reclaim our government. And look, freedom is not free. I don't want to sound like a cliche, but every generation has its challenges. This is the challenge of our time. And so you have to ask yourself this question. If not now, when? If not us, who? It's time to take our country back, our state back, and our government back. Okay, there are some huge breaking developments now on Kevin Spacey. He's in big trouble. More allegations of sexual abuse. Take it away, Evan. 37 here on the great WRKO, the voice of Boston, Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer, cleaning up the liberal bull. It is exactly 1 year to the day that President Trump pulled off a stunning election upset victory. My question to you, 1 year later, are you satisfied with this performance? Did he meet your expectations? Or are you disappointed and dissatisfied in the president? 617-266-6868. Lines are loaded. Russ in Boston, you're up first. Go ahead, Russ.
Jeff, I'm 100% satisfied with Trump's performance. To me, the biggest thing that he's done through executive orders is stop the environment Nazis in this country from killing jobs. And let's face it, if it wasn't for the filthy, rotten rhinos, okay, the turncoats in this country that have stopped Trump at every move that he's trying to make. And you know, the people that disgust me more than anything is the whole Bush family. They've made a disgrace of themselves. And, you know, while Obama and Hillary was slapping them day in and day out, they remain silent. And what do? They come out after Donald Trump. So, really, as far as I'm concerned, the Bush dynasty is dead.
Russ, thank you for that call. Well, there is a book out now in which the author interviewed both Bush 41 and Bush 43, HW and W. HW calls Trump a loudmouth, says he's an egomaniac, and actually admits that he voted for Hillary Clinton over Trump. Now think about that. He votes not only for a gangster and a criminal, but the very woman who, along with her husband, defeated him in 1992. I mean, what a loser. What a loser. And then, of course, you have George W. Bush, who's going on about how Trump's a xenophobic nationalist, and he's a protectionist, and he's not a free trader, and he's destroying the Republican Party. You know what that shows? It shows they're still jealous and envious over the drubbing that Trump gave to Jebito. Jeb Prestu for English Bush. It's nothing more than sour grapes. Lou in Rhode Island. Go ahead, Lou.
Yeah, how you doing, Jeff? I always say that Trump won all of the living citizen votes. To anybody who tells me about this popular vote business, that's the first thing. Every day, to me, is Thanksgiving as long as there's not an Obama, a Bush, or a Clinton in office. And we know that. The fact of the matter is that he's lived up to my expectations because we've been fighting a war with these people, a political war with not only the Democrats and the corrupt deep state and the deep corruption there, but also with the rhinos, the special interests, all the people who want to push climate change, free quote unquote trade, which is not free trade, which is sending jobs out of America. They're letting more and more illegals in. The fact is that has been successful. It's the Republicans who are so deeply entrenched with the deep state and with the special interests and lobbyists, the rhinos, who, along with the Democrats, were shocked when Trump was elected. And the fact is that have been successful. He's appointed judges. He's appointed. He's made changes to our rules and regulations. He's been pushing change for the tax code. He's been pushing the changes in health care. They haven't gone along with him because they're just a bunch of deep state rhinos. Now, the fact of the matter is that you're absolutely right before when you said that if Hillary Clinton was elected, we would have a dictatorship in this country, a politically correct, gun-free dictatorship in this country. And if you notice something, none of our citizens' rights have been taken away under the so-called fascist Trump. You know what a fascist state is. A real fascist state puts in enabling laws and shuts down the press, takes over the schools, takes over law enforcement, and takes over the military. Nothing like that was done under Trump, but it would have been done under Hillary.
Lou, very well said. Thank you for that call. Look, if Hillary had won, and I make this point in my column. By the way, you can go to WRKO.com, Kuhner's Corner, Sessions must go. I'm now demanding and urging the president to either fire Sessions or basically twist his arm into handing his letter of resignation because he's not up to the job of Attorney General. Hillary needs to be prosecuted. No question about it now. But you would have seen a mafia state. What you would have seen had Hillary won, make no bones about it, is that now a political gangster family would be in full and complete control of the United States. So to me, that reason alone, I thank the Lord every day that Trump won that election. But let me ask all of you this. Okay, let me just play devil's advocate for a second. Leave aside Obamacare and the rhinos in Congress and all that, which I agree with you, and that's my point as well. But what do you say to this argument? That Trump was the one who brought in Gary Cohn. Trump was the one who brought in Steve Mnuchin. Trump was the one who eventually agreed to get rid of Steve Bannon. Trump was the one who brought Ivanka and Jared Kushner and gave them such seminal roles within the administration. In other words, that Trump in many ways allowed the globalists to infiltrate his own administration. Trump is the one that refuses to fire Jeff Sessions. Now, I understand the media would go nuts, his own party would go nuts, but in other words, that Trump himself deserves some of them for the wounds upon his administration, that some of it has been self-inflicted. What do you say to that argument? Eddie in Quincy. Go ahead, Eddie.
First of all, my condolences on your loss of your friend, Bill,
Thank you.
Bill Kelly.
Thank you.
I don't
you,
know if
Eddie.
you saw it Sunday in the Herald. Ray Flynn did a nice write-up on him.
Thank you, Eddie. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and that's what you just said. That's why I don't give Trump an A. H.W. wasn't the only one that said he didn't vote for him. There are a lot of Republicans, and the Republicans do not stick up for him. They're all backstabbers. The Democrats don't even want to admit that he won. You know, a year ago today he won. The next day they were calling for impeachment. But the biggest thing, I agree with you, they've got to go after Hillary Clinton and the rest of them. It's never going to change. It's the swamp. And with 10 months into it, I kind of disagree with you with Jeff Sessions. If he fired Sessions tomorrow, it'd be 6 months before he had another attorney general appointed. You know, before it got through Congress. It'd take too long. They've got to go after her, and they've got to go after her now.
Eddie, you make a very good point, but let me ask you this. Because Sessions won't do it. He won't fire Mueller. He won't even appoint the special counsel to investigate Hillary. In other words, he's just asleep at the wheel. That's why I call him Sleepy Sessions.
Wow.
So if he keeps him around, this is just not going to end. She's going to continue to skate, and Mueller's going to continue to investigate.
I mean, I have no respect for Mueller at all. I mean, he can't investigate Clinton because he's in the middle of it.
No, I'm with you. And thank you for that call, Eddie. Well, that's the thing. You see, the guy that's issuing the indictments should be indicted himself. So, again, that's why I go back to my column to Attorney General Sessions. He's got to go. He's got to go. I mean, if you can't do it, if you're not willing to pull the trigger, then bring in somebody. I'm thinking Rudy Giuliani, to be honest. Somebody who broke the mob in New York. Well, now you got to break the political mob in Washington. Have somebody that's got the guts to clean house. Because I'm telling you, Sessions has got a lot of good qualities. But cleaning house is not one of them. Chris in Gloucester. Go ahead, Chris.
I disagree 100%. I think that, have you been following the Mueller probe? It's like you're not even paying attention. The Sessions needs to resign because he lied under oath. It's provable. And Trump has disgraced this country in a way that it'd be hard to imagine anybody else could do. He has actually done the things that the right has accused Hillary of. Have you been following the Carter Page Papadopoulos evidence on the probe?
Yes.
Yeah, there's now proof that they were communicating and collaborating with Russians after Trump said nobody in the campaign had any contact. There's now proof, smoking gun proof of evidence that they are lying about their contact with Russia.
Well, let me ask you this, Chris.
Give the country out to Russia.
Okay, well, we'll get to that in a second. Let me ask you this. Where is the evidence that Trump colluded with the Russians to steal the election from Hillary? Where's the evidence?
Oh, it's coming. And
well, okay, it's coming is not here, so there's no evidence. Let me ask you this. Hold on. Where is the evidence? Hold on. Where is the evidence that the Kremlin or Putin hacked into the DNC or actually changed the election results? Where's the evidence?
There's no evidence of that now, but that doesn't mean that they're what they've done is wrong.
Okay, hold on. Well,
where's the evidence on Hillary?
Well, there's no. I'll give you the evidence on Hillary, but hold on. Let me ask you another question. Michael Flynn is now scheduled to be indicted. I don't know if you know that. The story's going to.
Yeah.
Do you know what he's being indicted for?
I don't know, but I can think of a few things.
Well, Turkey. I'll tell you what it is. It's Turkey. That he was laundering millions of dollars for the Turkish government. Now, Turkey. Hold on. Turkey is not Russia. Turkey's on a different continent than Russia. Let's go to Paul Manafort. He's indicting Paul Manafort. Did you read that 31-page indictment? Because I did. Donald Trump's name is not mentioned once. Not even once. In fact, do you know who Paul Manafort did work for years? When he brought in all the Russian oligarchs into Washington? Do you know, Chris? Since you claim to be an expert.
I didn't claim to be an expert. You put in.
Well, whatever. Okay, the Podesta Group, John and Tony Podesta. In other words, Hillary's campaign chairman. Now, you want evidence? I'll give you evidence. The New York Times, the Los Angeles Times, the Wall Street Journal, the Hill newspaper. So Paul Manafort was the guy that was bringing the Russians to influence Washington. And you know what he was primarily responsible for, Chris? $145 million that was funneled into the Clinton Foundation to influence the sale of Uranium One. So let me ask you, Chris, let me ask you a question. How does it serve? I'm going to ask you a point-blank question. How was it in America's national interests for Hillary Clinton, President Obama, and the Obama administration to approve the sale of 20% of our strategic uranium reserves to the Russians? How is that in our interests?
That was approved unanimously by 9
fine,
people.
Fine. How is that? I'm asking you a different question. How was that in America's national interests?
Because the Nuclear Regulatory Committee thought it was. And
I don't care what they thought it was. I'm asking you a different question.
They know
how was it, Chris, you're avoiding the question. How is it in America's national interests for Vladimir Putin to own 20% of our strategic uranium reserves?
It wasn't an American interest issue. It was a sale by a foreign government, and we rarely get involved with that.
But we did. And we approved it. And my question to you again is this. See, look, you're not answering the question. There you go. You can't answer it because it wasn't. So you have to ask yourself this question. It's an obvious question. Okay, if you would just think for a second. What were they expecting for $145 million? I'll tell you what they were expecting. Our uranium. And they got it. See what I got to put up with? a man of my education, a man of my learning. Billy in Norwood. Go ahead, Billy.
Hello, Jeff. I love you. I love Trump. But one thing I must say, if Trump doesn't investigate Hillary, sadly, his victory 1 year ago will be meaningless in 4 years. That's the saddest part. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Billy. Very well said. Short and sweet. Bill in Newton. Go ahead, Bill.
Jeff, a quick thumbnail sketch of H.W. Bush. New York Times bestseller list. Book called Compromise, subtitled Clinton, Bush, and the CIA. Governor Bill Clinton and Vice President George Bush facilitated the distribution of cocaine in America in order to finance the Contras and circumvent the Boland Amendment. And it's not wild speculation. The book is brilliant. And if you want more, you can go to YouTube and watch the Mina Connection. And it's all there. No wild speculation, no tinfoil hatism.
Bill, no, you don't have to even convince me of it. I know of that story. Look, George H.W. Bush is a crook, just like Bill Clinton is a crook, and they are part of the New World Order. They are globalists who did everything in their power to sell this country right down the river. And what I find incredible is that you still have liberals who try to defend the Clintons. Like that's like, I don't know, Germans trying to defend Hitler or Russians trying to defend Stalin. You're defending the indefensible. So anyway, let's go to Jamie in Lynn. Go ahead, Jamie.
Hello, my name is Jamie. My husband, Eric Watson, is listening to this channel right now, and he sits there and tells me that you guys are telling me that McGee's are going to turn the Lynn into a minority city. Why don't you guys give him a chance, because you guys sit there and fill his head with bullshit all day, and I got to come home and listen to it.
Okay, that was very articulate there. See what I got to put up with? A man of my education, a man of my learning. So, all right. So just so that you know, Jamie and Lynn, Tom McGee, just look it up on his website. I mean, just do a quick Google search. Just punch in Tom McGee, Mr. Magoo. He wants to turn Salem into a sanctuary city. That's number one. He's a big supporter of turning all of Massachusetts into a sanctuary state. That's official, on the record. He brags about it. So it's right there on his website. Number two, he is the sponsor of a bill. You can look it up. Again, he brags about it. To load up the entire state with tolls. Highways, byways, he wants tolls now on 93, tolls on 95, tolls on Route 1, tolls on Route 2, tolls on Route 128. For those of you in Lynn, Jamie, tolls on Route 7. So he wants to load up your city with tolls. He wants to load up the state with tolls, and he wants to turn Lynn into a full sanctuary city and Massachusetts into a full sanctuary state. And you clowns vote him in? No, really, honestly. By the way, just to show you genius, he's already collecting a salary for being state senator and a pension. So you know what you just voted for? To give him a second salary as mayor and a second pension as mayor. So the guy can double dip. So my question to you is this. For you to be so defensive about this guy, are you like a family member? I don't know. Are you a niece or a first cousin or?
She might be. Yeah. She just that doesn't like that her husband listens to the show, Jeff, and he complains, and I don't know. Just get a divorce. I don't know what to tell you, Jamie.
No, I mean, really. I mean, if the truth hurts, I mean, leave your husband. I don't know what else to tell you. But, don't blame me because the guy you voted for turns out to be an absolute loser. So, you want to give away your money? I don't know if you work for a living, Jamie, but if you do, I would give it to the kids in Africa. I would give it to the veterans. But don't give it to these crooks. For God's sakes, have some self-respect. Okay, I got to go, my friends. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer, and together we're cleaning up the liberal bull.
The voice of Boston is you. 680 WRKO Boston, 93.7 WEEI HD2 Lawrence, Boston. It's 3 o'clock.